Welcome, everyone. Continue to eat your lunch, but I would like to get the meeting started. We've got a lot of great material to go over today, and I'd like you to continue to have time to enjoy your lunch. But I'd like to introduce myself. I am Brad Aho. I'm a city council member of the city of Eden Prairie, and I'm also current chair of the 494 Corridor Commission. And the 494 Corridor Commission runs a service called the Commuter Services Group. And the Commuter Services Group is the group responsible for this meeting and this event today. So let me start out by introducing some of the people that we're going to be attending. I know Senator Steve Swedzinski from Eden Prairie and Minnetonka was slated to be here, but as you probably all have heard, there's a special session going on, or not necessarily a special session, but a continuation of the meetings at the Capitol, and so we believe he is there, as well as Metropolitan Council Chair Adam Dunnick. He was scheduled to be here to speak, but we believe that he is going to be called into some meetings there, and so he was unable to attend. But we've got representatives from the Met Council here, and Katie Rodriguez is here, so welcome, Katie. Our 494 Corridor Commission is composed of 5 member cities, so Bloomington, Edina, Eden Prairie, Richfield, and Minnetonka. And of that, we should have today here representatives from Edina, Councilmember Mary Brindle. Mary, are you here? I don't see her here right now. From Minnetonka, staff member Julie Wisnak. Are you here? Julie? Thank you, Julie. And Dave Lindahl, I know Dave Lindahl from the city of Eden Prairie. He's on staff. He's a member of our commission. He is here as well. And also, as well as past board member, Bloomington City Council member John Olson. John, are you here today? Raise your hand. I don't see him. And we also have Bloomington Planning Commissioner Kelly Spees and Matt Pagano from the office of Congressman Jason Lewis attending. So thank you for all being here today. We appreciate your attendance and your support. I would like to thank all of our corporate members that are here today. Without you guys being a part of Commuter Services and helping your employees get to work in a different method other than ride-alone transportation, our roads would be much more congested. And so it's with your help, it really makes a big difference to everyone in the Twin Cities area. And so we appreciate your commitment to your employees, to our communities. So thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you do. We'd also like to thank Best Buy for hosting and also being a partner with Commuter Services for the past 14 years. Best Buy has been a great partner with us. They've been committed to helping their employees find alternative methods of transporting to and from work, and that's made a big difference. They're really a flagship example of what a suburban company can achieve with regard to commuter services programs that lead to high engagement and meaningful reductions in transportation congestion. So thank you, Best Buy. And I'd also like to thank our Commuter Services staff. Our Executive Director, Melissa Madison, is right here. We also have Kate. Kate, raise your hand in the back. And we have Marquita. Where's Marquita? Marquita in the back, and Robin. Thank you, Robin. Those employees, I can tell you from working with them daily, they do a great job in reaching out and working with commuters and companies in our 5 member cities and even beyond. And they achieve great results and great reduction in traffic congestion. So thank you, staff. You do a great job every day. Just a quick note, bathrooms, if you need to use one, are just outside and to the right as you go outside. So if you need that, feel free to go at any time. And right now I'd like to give you a couple of brief slides just to kind of highlight what Commuter Services does as an organization. So every day, an estimated 130 million Americans travel to jobs located in dense urban centers and suburban office parks. And the vast majority of those commuters drive alone to work. If we look at what we've done in the past to try to reduce that congestion, here's a picture of Beijing, China. We don't have the capacity to do this in our cities, nor do I think we want to do this, is to increase the roadways to that extreme. But we really can't from a number of perspectives. Just don't have the space, and we don't have the money to do that. So what can we do to avoid doing that? We have to find alternative methods of transportation. Our infrastructure really is aging. Our government at all levels, we really struggle to pay. If you look at what MnDOT's budget is, and if you look at the transportation budget that they're currently wrangling at the state capitol, there just isn't enough money to build our way out of congestion. So we need to do more. So that's really why the 494 Corridor Commission hired staff, and we have commuter services. So we need to get more throughput out of our existing infrastructure. We need more people on transit, more people in carpools, van pools, and biking and walking as modes of transportation. So working through employers really is our best method to reach all those employees. So having partnerships with companies is so key to our organization and to achieving good results. So Commuter Services last year held 154 commuter fairs with employers at multi-tenant buildings like Best Buy here. We had 4,152 commuters pledge to Commuter Services to try an alternative method. And we do follow up with those commuters and make sure that they are doing that, and that and just to follow up to see how they're doing. And many of them, once they try it, they continue to use that, and it becomes part of their habit, which is really what our goal is. 3,800 drive-alone commuters received customized transit, carpool, van pool, bicycle commuting, and telework resources from Commuter Services in the past year. So you can see it's a very large impact. Studies show when employers use choices such as these benefits, that there's approximately a 20% shift in their employment staff in trying carpooling and the other modes of transportation. And that's in large urban areas. Our area is maybe just a little bit less than 20%, but still it's a significant impact on the way people get to work. So together working, we have achieved 718 new carpoolers. This is just last year's results alone. 1,169 new transit riders, 441 new bicycle commuters, 166 new teleworkers, 27 new van poolers, and 17 van pools. And so that results in a savings of over 1 million vehicle miles driven per year. So it's a very significant amount. So again, thank you to all of our corporate partners in being willing to work on this with your employees and bringing better transportation alternatives to them. And you can see that really being willing to give people benefits to try these is really the key to getting them to convert. And so all the employers that have given Metro passes and subsidized van pools and all those kinds of key tools to your employees, that's really what helps to make the change. So I really want to thank all of you for being here and for participating. So now I was supposed to invite Chair Adam Dunnick of the Met Council to come forward, but since he is in negotiations with these budget transportation goings on at the state capitol, he has his staff here to represent him and to do this. And so I'm pleased to announce Bruce Howard. Bruce is the Director of Customer Services and Marketing, and Bruce does a great job representing the Met Council and the Metropolitan Transit Commission. And so welcome to Bruce, and thank you for coming.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. As Brad said, I'm Bruce Howard, Director of Customer Services and Marketing at Metro Transit. And the first thing I did is I made a little note to myself. I thought I was going to be able to come out here and just have a free lunch. But note to self, when the session is still going on and the chair is invited, don't show up just in case he has to be over at the legislature. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to have three of us from Metro Transit that are going to fill in and pinch hit here this morning. I'm going to give just a brief overview of Metro Transit and cover a few of the slides, and then we're going to have a couple of our staff come up and talk about projects that are very specific to this part of the region, the Southwest Green Line extension and the Orange Line. So let me start by just covering a little bit about Metro Transit. At Metro Transit, we are building a transit system for the 21st century. As I mentioned, I've been here for 25 years. When I started back in 1992, we had one mode of transit in this region, and that was essentially fixed route bus service. We did have Metro Mobility, which is our ADA service, but you can see there on the screen the modes that we've added since then. We have light rail, we have commuter rail, and we have arterial BRT that we've added, along with bus rapid transit, also highway bus rapid transit, which is on Cedar Avenue, known as the Red Line. A little bit about Metro Transit ridership. We've actually increased Metro Transit ridership 10 out of the last 12 years. In 2016, ridership was down a little bit from 2015, so that wasn't one of the years that we increased ridership, but ridership thankfully has rebounded again for the start of this year. But last year we finished with 82.6 million rides. We average every weekday 266,000 rides at Metro Transit. On the Green Line in 2016, almost 13 million rides. That was up 2.5% from 2015. And on the Blue Line, 10.2 million rides in 2015. And then last year in September, on September 1st, we actually had the largest one-day ridership in the history of our agency. And as you can see there, we had 370,000 rides on the system on September 1st. Now, what was happening? Well, there was a Twins game, there was the Vikings preseason game, there was a Gopher football game, there was a Saints game, and we were doing state fair service all on the same day. So it was pretty crazy out there. But I think it also illustrates the kind of investment that we want to make in the transit system, so we're able to handle these types of crowds with all of these events going on at the same time. Just real quickly, how does the ridership split out by mode? The bus system is still going to be the backbone of our system here. We have over 150 bus routes at Metro Transit. You can see 70% of our ridership is on the bus, but our LRT lines are quickly gaining ridership. 28% of the ridership comes from LRT, and then a small percent from A-Line, which is our bus rapid transit line that we opened last year on Snelling Avenue. It goes from Rosedale down Snelling across Ford Parkway to the 46th Street station on the Blue Line. And then here's a map of our metro system that some of it is existing and some of it we're building out. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute with the Green Line extension and the Orange Line, but you can see here, just to orient yourself, the far right side would be the east side of the metro area, and existing today is the Green Line, which operates from Union Depot in St. Paul down University Avenue into downtown Minneapolis. That was the second line that opened in 2014. And then you can see the Blue Line there, which operates from downtown Minneapolis to the airport and to the Mall of America. The red line there is the Red Line Bus Rapid Transit, which operates on Cedar Avenue. And then farther to the right, the Gold Line. This is a line that we envision being built from St. Paul out to some of the eastern suburbs out towards Woodbury. And then if you flip over to the top of the map there, you'll see that's the North Star Commuter rail line coming in from Big Lake, about 45 miles out from downtown Minneapolis. And then you have the Blue Line and Green Line extensions on the far side, left side of the map, and then the Orange Line, which will go down 35W. So we'll talk more about those in just a minute. Just a little bit about the Green Line. As I mentioned, it opened in 2014, 11 stations, or 11 miles long, 18 stations. 5 of those are shared stations in downtown Minneapolis with the Blue Line, and it serves both downtown Minneapolis and downtown St. Paul. We're averaging actually now up above 40,000 weekday rides again here in 2017. And interestingly enough, I mentioned that day back in September, we had all that ridership. You think about the major sports venues that are on the Green Line. I don't think there's a place anywhere in the country that has those kind of venues. You start on the west side, the Green Line there starts at Target Field Station where the Twins play, goes past US Bank Stadium, which will host the Super Bowl in February of 2018. Goes past TCF Bank Stadium where the Gophers play and where currently Minnesota United plays. Goes down University Avenue, and at Snelling there'll be the new soccer stadium, hopefully, for Minnesota United there, and then on to St. Paul and the XL Energy Center. So all those major venues are served by the Green Line. So that's just a very quick overview of some of the things going on in Metro Transit, and I think James is going to be next, and he's going to come up and talk about the Green Line extension. He's got a table over there if you want to ask him some questions afterwards, but he's going to cover a couple of slides, and then we'll hear from Christina on the Orange Line. Right there.
Good morning. As Bruce indicated, I work with the Southwest Project Office. I'm with the public involvement team. I work specifically in Eden Prairie and Minnetonka. So it's great to see some of the Minnetonka folks and Eden Prairie folks here I'm familiar with. And it's great to be here with you this morning. As you can see from the slide, we have opening in 2021 is when we anticipate ticket revenue. It's 14.5 miles long. If you see where it starts to go south of the Shady Oak station there, that's all new right-of-way south of there. And when you go from the Shady Oak station toward Target Field, that's basically following an existing rail corridor there. So we're going to have 15 stations, and probably we hope to have a 16th station, which we're calling the Town Center Station in Eden Prairie. That will, I don't know, is it marked on there? I can't see on the slide. It'll be between, it's about an inch to the right of the Southwest station there. So Eden Prairie is working very hard, and we're working very hard with them to see that that station is online when we open in 2021. So we're keeping our fingers crossed with that. And as you can see, we're going to have approximately 34,000 weekday boardings by 2040. I would expect that we might reach that sooner than 2040 if the current Green Line statistics are any indication. They've reached, I think, their 2030 projections in about 2 or 3 years already, so they're doing very well. All right, one of the most important features, of course, of this project is the interconnectivity between people who need employment and employment centers. And you can see on the map, better than me because I have a very small screen here, that if you go down toward Minnetonka and Eden Prairie, you can see that there are several large employment corridors there. Of course, we have the Golden Triangle, we've got Eden Prairie as a whole, we've got the Opus area as well. In 2014, you had 64,300 jobs within a half mile of the proposed stations on the route, and 126,800 jobs in downtown Minneapolis. By 2035, they expect to see an 18% increase, by about 80,900 jobs within a half mile of the corridor, the proposed stations, and around 145,300 in downtown Minneapolis. Now our project timeline, again, we finished the environmental work. We've got to 100% engineering late last year, and now we expect to apply for the full funding grant, which is a 50% match, having secured the local 50% funding sometime later in the summer. And then we anticipate beginning construction later this year, 2017, and running through 2020. And then anticipate revenue service beginning in 2021. Of course, one of the benefits, of the project is the economic development. We've already seen evidence of that with the existing Green Line that opened in 2014. We've seen nearly $6.8 billion in development along those LRT lines already. $700 million along the Blue Line. $550 million development planned or underway already with the Southwest Light Rail project. $489 million development planned or underway already for the Blue Line extension that's going to be running north, as you pointed out. You can see some examples of that. With the Green Line, we've got, again, Hamline Station Apartments, if you're familiar with the Green Line route. The 700 on Washington near East Bank Station, the 2700 University near Westgate Station. And with our extension project, you see $515 million in development. You see the Gallery Flats near downtown Hopkins Station, There's also the Place, if you've read about that in the news recently, that's the project is under development. And of course, you have UHG campus, just south of Crosstown and Opus, and the Moline near downtown Hopkins Station. So we're seeing a lot of development already emerge around the plans as it's gotten more concrete, as people have begun to get excited about the project moving forward. So that's the Green Line extension. And now I'm going to invite Christina Morrison up. Christina Morrison's the project manager for the Orange Line, and she'll give you a little bit more information about that.
Thank you, James. Well, as he said, I'm Christina Morrison. I'm with Metro Transit, and I work on the Metro Orange Line bus rapid transit project. There's a brochure in your folder if you want to find more information or get a hold of us. I'll also point out that Max Holthusen is here with me today. He's our outreach coordinator for Orange Line, so he can help you get more information to the people you work with or people coming to your campus about what the Orange Line means for your location. So the Orange Line is a 17-mile BRT project on 35W running between downtown Minneapolis, South Minneapolis, Richfield, Bloomington, Burnsville, so right down the center of that metro map. This is our region's busiest express bus corridor. And if you're out there at rush hour, you know it is busy, to say the least. We expect in this corridor 26,000 bus rides by 2040. That's building on tremendous level of service that we already have out there today. We have a lot of express service going into downtown Minneapolis in the morning, coming out in the afternoon. And what the Orange Line really does is to build that all-day bidirectional service. And one of the primary goals of that really is to better serve people sort of on the shoulders of that, midday, evenings, but also weekends. We don't have any service on 35W for transit on the weekends. And this will serve all weekends, so if you want to go into Minneapolis, go to a Twins game, go to Orchestra Hall, you'll be able to catch the Orange Line right outside those locations. We also know that a big market in planning the Orange Line is opening up this 494 corridor. We have so many people who are trying to get to jobs and services, hotels, shopping centers in this corridor, and we know that people want better transit options, both north-south and east-west, and we would be expanding those with the addition particularly of the 76th Street station, which will be right out here at Knox Avenue and 76th, right next to the campus, as well as with a station at American Boulevard in Knox, so over on the Southtown Shopping Center side. The project cost is $150 million. That includes a new fleet. We're running, actually on the previous slide, you can see we're going to be running these 3-door buses. So like on light rail, you'll be able to pay your fare before you get on the bus and then board through any door. So it really speeds up that boarding process. Not a lot of downtime at the stations. That project cost also includes the roadway work that we're doing. We're building some kind of strategic transit advantages. One of those is right here in the Knox Avenue area. Another one is a transit-only ramp into downtown, so you can sort of bypass all of the people waiting in traffic. And that construction begins this year. We're actually partnering with MnDOT. They're going to be constructing sort of the downtown portion as well as the Lake Street portion as part of their 35W transit access project. And then our station construction really begins in 2019. So we'll have kind of a little bit of a rollout as we go to the kind of the different geographic areas along 35 to build that station infrastructure. We are looking at opening in the 2020 timeframe, so there'll be a lot of new transit to ride over the next few years as all of these new metro lines are opening. That's all I have. Pass it back to you. Thanks.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for presenting this important information. We really appreciate it. Is my mic still on? Sounds like it's off. I'll speak loudly. So our next speaker is from MnDOT. His name is Aaron Tagg. Aaron has been with MnDOT for 16 years. He is currently the West Area Engineer. As the West Area Engineer, Aaron helps oversee and manage MnDOT's programs and projects in Hennepin County. So welcome, Aaron, and good to have you here. Come on up. Hopefully we'll have a mic working for you here shortly.
Thank you, Brad, and good day, everyone. I'm here Get started here. Yep, there's my name. As Brad said, I'm a West Area engineer. There's actually 2 other West Area engineers, and the 3 of us, along with our West Area manager, manage kind of all the projects in Hennepin County for MnDOT. I specifically kind of focus on the highways and freeways in Minneapolis and Richfield. I also cover 394 and 12 out to the western border of Hennepin County. So I'm here today, and I'm going to focus on 3 big projects that MnDOT's currently underdoing. They're either underway or going to start this year. And talk about how you can kind of visit our website to understand how to understand what these impacts are going to be. 169, as you probably know, is closed right now. It's had some significant traffic impacts. The 94 project has had some minor impacts so far. Some bigger ones are coming up later this summer with the tunnel restrictions. And then the big kind of behemoth, 35W, is going to start later this year with 4 years of pretty significant traffic impacts. So these are the 3 projects I'm going to talk about today, but I actually want to start with 2 other projects. So the 494 project in the Northwest Metro and the 100 project in the St. Louis Park area. And these 2 projects started in 2015 and they wrapped up last year, but they're part of an important sequence. We needed those 2 projects done and the traffic impacts associated with them over before we could start either the 94 project north of downtown Minneapolis or the 169 project just west of here. And we need the 169 project and the 94 project done before we can start the 35W project. So we have a number of projects spanning from 2015 to 2021, so 7 years of projects that all had to line up so that we aren't taking the West Metro out too hard. I know it's difficult to deal with some of these traffic impacts, but hopefully we can get through it. So first project I'm going to talk about is the 169 project. The scope of this project is the thing you've probably heard about the most is the replacement of the 9 Mile Creek Bridge. So we've taken out the 9 Mile Creek Bridge. We're replacing it with a causeway, which is kind of like a road embankment. We're also resurfacing 169 from Highway 62 up north to Highway 55. We're adding acceleration and deceleration lanes around Cedar Lake Road, as well as we're closing an exit at 16th Street. It's a really, if you've been on 169, it's a really sharp corner, so we're getting rid of that unsafe safe exit there. So this is a picture from earlier this year. This is part of the 169 9 Mile Creek bridge removal. We started this in January of this year. They're done with the bridge removal. They're working on driving pile for the causeway, starting retaining walls. The project is on schedule. As you know, the 169 is closed, and there's a number of lane restrictions north of the closure up to 394. Those lane restrictions are going to be off in September, and we're going to have the full freeway back open in November. The next project I'm going to talk about is another project that's ongoing right now. The 94 project, it essentially runs from Nicollet Avenue, actually a little bit south of downtown Minneapolis, up to 694 and a little bit west of Shingle Creek Parkway. This is a pavement and bridge rehab project. So we're going out and we're making repairs to the infrastructure we have so that it can last at least 15 more years to get us through to the point where this section of freeway probably needs to be replaced. We have 50 bridges that we're working on. We're doing repairs to most of the ramps in the area. We're also doing concrete patching on the main line as well as bituminous mill and overlay. One thing I want to note about this project is often when we have a project, we're able to kind of have lane closures or travel restrictions for longer periods of time. So, for example, the 35W project I'm going to talk about next, we move all the traffic over to one side. We do one side of the freeway. get that fixed up, move the traffic over there, and then fix up the other side. Because we have so much work, 50 different bridges, pavement all over the place, in a fair amount of short time, our detours and ramp closures are changing daily. So if this is a project that impacts you, I highly encourage you to go to our website, sign up for our email, because it can be really helpful to understand how everything is changing around. We have new closures every week. The closures aren't lasting very long. Many of the closures are only lasting 1 week, 2 weeks, but they can still have quite a bit of impact. An interesting thing about a ramp closure is when you close something, it usually takes about a week for the traveling public to kind of sort itself out. So you close something, and the next day it's always horrible. But then miraculously, a week later, everything seems, maybe not as good as it was before, but kind of back to at least a little bit better. Another interesting thing about this project is that the contractor is getting incentives to finish at least on time, and he gets more incentives the earlier he finishes. And part of this, the main reason for giving this contractor incentives is kind of before I talked about the sequence of work. We need the contractor to get this work done so that we can start on the 35W project. The project is scheduled. It started earlier this year. It's scheduled to go until July 2018, but 95% of the work and most of the impacts that the traveling public are going to see will be done at the end of this year. So now into some of the closures. Here's a picture of some ramp work we were doing at Lyndale and 94. So that's the on-ramp to 94 from Lyndale Avenue. That was closed probably about a month ago for 2 weeks. Currently, we have southbound Highway 252 closed at 694. This closure started a couple weeks ago, and it's going to be closed until mid-July. Another closure we have right now that has some significant impacts is westbound 94 to westbound 394. That bridge and ramp is closed. We currently have all that traffic detouring onto the HOV or MnPass lanes. So if not only is it impacting the people taking that detour, but the people heading eastbound on 394 don't have the use of that managed lane in the morning, because that lane, those lanes of the MnPass lanes are being used for general traffic coming from 94. And then recently opened, we had the 3rd Street ramp out of Minneapolis heading northbound. It's kind of the viaduct that goes through North Minneapolis and the North Loop area. That was closed for 10 days. We got that reopened on Saturday, which is good news. But we have some bigger impacts coming up, and this is actually going to be kind of a test run for 35W. We have work in the tunnel that we need to do. We need to replace some of the tiles in there to keep it waterproof. And then we have work kind of on either side of the tunnel, north-south, pavement repairs, as well as some ramp fixes. So while we're doing this work in the tunnel, we're going to have a number of ramp closures. They're listed there, but I'm going to go over them kind of in this diagram. So right now, the Lower Hill Tunnel has 3 lanes in each direction. During the tunnel work, which is going to last 3 months, we're going to take all the traffic and we're going to put it in one tunnel so we can work on the other tunnel. So we're essentially going to have 2 lanes in each direction in the tunnel during the periods of work. So this is going to last 3 months. Trucks are going to be restricted from using the tunnel, so they'll be having to take the detour routes. So in the first phase, remember we got 3 lanes going in each direction. In the first phase, we're going to close the eastbound lanes of 94. So the eastbound lanes are going to move over to the other portal, so we're going to have 2 lanes in each direction, median divider between them, restricted lane widths. And because we are closing the eastbound lanes, as well as the freeways on either side of the tunnel, we're going to have to close some ramps. So the 394 eastbound to I-94 eastbound ramp is going to be closed for about a month and a half. And then further on the other side of the tunnel, the 94 eastbound to 35W southbound ramp is going to be closed for about a month and a half. Once we get the work done in the tunnels and the associated ramps, we're going to kind of swap it. So we're going to move all the traffic to the eastbound tunnel portal, and we're going to close the westbound tunnel portal. And then kind of the opposite ramp closures are going to happen. So the 35W northbound to westbound 94 ramp is going to be closed. And then the 94 westbound to 394 westbound ramp is going to be closed. And because we're closing that side of the freeway, we won't have the option of using the HOV lanes anymore for general traffic. So that'll be another month and a half of work for a total of about 3 months. And so that project will wrap up end of this year in time for 35W and Lake Street. So 35W and Lake Street, this project's been in the works for 20-some years. It's a partnership between MnDOT, Hennepin County, Metro Transit, City of Minneapolis. There's kind of 3 goals from the project: to enhance transit, to enhance accessibility, specifically at Lake Street, and to reconstruct infrastructure that's getting to its useful life, end of its useful life. So here's the limits of the project, and the scope of the project is, as Christine mentioned, we're building a new transit station at Lake Street. So we'll be adding that in the median of 35W. We're building new ramps in the Lake Street area. So we're adding a northbound 35W to 28th Street, which is 28th Street is just a little bit north of Lake Street, as well as a new ramp from southbound 35W to Lake Street. So there's no connection to Lake Street if you're coming southbound on 35W. And then we're going to be reconstructing the entire freeway from 43rd Street up to the downtown Commons. This essentially finishes off the crosstown work. So the crosstown project that wrapped up 5-10 years ago finished at 43rd Street. This finishes that work into downtown Minneapolis, as well as the managed lanes. There's kind of a missing gap there. It's 2.5 miles of concrete pavement replacement. There's 16 bridges that are either being repaired or replaced. Kind of interesting note here, in kind of following into the whole sequence of projects. Chapter 152 legislation back in 2008, which was kind of the big last bill, we'll see what comes out of today, last big transportation package we had in the state, focused a lot on repairing our bridges in the state. And part of that requirement was to have bridges that need to be replaced or repaired underway by 2018. So there's a number of bridges on 35 that needed to be repaired or replaced, so we needed to have this project going by 2018. So again, we had to have those 4 other projects done in time so we could get to this one in 2018. Here's kind of, so now I'll get into some of the impacts. And the 94 project, as significant as some of those impacts are, is kind of just a precursor to 35W. Work is starting later this year. The impacts to the public aren't going to be huge this year. They're mostly just replacing the Franklin and Portland bridges. The major work starts next spring. But there's going to be a significant number of impacts. 94 westbound is going to be restricted to 2 lanes starting early in 2018, and that is going to last through 2021. So 4 years of 94 eastbound being 2 lanes. Northbound 35W is going to be restricted to 3 lanes starting early 2018 going to 2021. Southbound 35W is going to be restricted to 2 lanes starting early next year and going to 2021. Hopefully in 2019 there will be, we'll add a 3rd lane, a managed lane onto the 2 lanes that will be there to help alleviate a little bit, but still pretty significant impact. And then Highway 65, which is the section of freeway between 35W and the direct connection to downtown Minneapolis. I don't know how many people know we actually call that Highway 65, but That's the name of it. That's going to be closed starting in July or early 2018. And that's going to be fully closed for the remainder of 2018. And hopefully we'll have a lane in each direction open at the end of 2018. There's also a number of ramps that are going to be closed. So the 35W northbound to westbound 94 ramp is going to be closed, and so we're closing that ramp with the 94 project. That'll be a good test for what's going to happen with 35, because that for the 94 project is happening for a month and a half. For the 35W project, it's going to happen from early 2018 through 2021, and then conversely, the eastbound 94 ramp to southbound 35W ramp is going to be closed for that entire time too. Some other projects happening in the metro this year. We have a project on 94 east of St. Paul, pavement rehab and reconstruction project that started last year that's going to finish up this year. There's a number of lane restrictions with that project. In the North Metro, we have 694. They were adding an additional lane in each direction on 6994 there. That project started last year, and that's going to wrap up this year. On Snelling, we have a pavement an intersection repair project that's ongoing. There's a number of lane closures associated with that between Highway 36 and Como Avenue. That's happening this year, but we will have all lanes open for the State Fair. Everyone can get to the State Fair. And then far out in the east on the Wisconsin border, we have the St. Croix Bridge. That's going to be finishing up in the next year. And then down in the South Metro, Highway 110, we have a number of intersection and signing improvements with a number of lane restrictions happening this year. And so that's just a one-year project, so that'll be wrapping up this year as well. So for each of our projects, we have a project website, and as well as a email blast you can get. So if any of these projects impact you or your employees, I highly encourage you to connect them to these project websites or the email list, especially with a project like the 94 project where we're doing new detours and new road closures every week. And depending on weather, things get delayed, things move up, things are constantly changing. It can be really helpful for everyone to know what is closing and what is not. And then kind of our traditional, website, Twitter, Facebook, we're on it. And that's it. And, here's my contact information. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions about any of these projects. And thank you.
Well, thank you, Aaron. Appreciate all the updates. As we can see, it's clear that if we thought traffic and congestion was bad, now it's going to get worse. And it looks like it's about a 4-year stint that it's going to get worse in. And so it's especially important to find alternative methods of getting to and from work, because it's going to be tough, and it's going to impact our schedules, it's going to impact our deliveries, it's going to impact our employees. So we really need to find new ways. With that, I'd like to introduce Kate Meredith. Kate, I guess we do have time for, we have about 4 or 5 minutes questions. So does anyone have questions for anyone from either from the Metro Transit staff or from Aaron Tagg from MnDOT?
I've got one for Aaron. We're going to find out if there's any true alternatives to the Lowry Hill Tunnel, but most of my lifetime we've been shoving a softball through a garden hose, and I'm just wondering, now that we've got that plan for 4 lanes within the tunnel, is there any way to maintain that, at least adding 1 lane for the long-term future?
With the current configuration of the Lowry Tunnel, what we're doing for the month and a half, or I guess 3 months total, is really a temporary thing to get general traffic through. As I mentioned, we're putting a truck restriction on the tunnel because we don't have the clearances on the side to accommodate them. We're also going down to really narrow lanes through the tunnel, and there's going to be a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit through the tunnel. So putting 4 lanes into a portal isn't a long-term solution. We do have the Rethinking 94 visioning project that we have started. It's kind of looking at 94 is getting to the end of its useful life, the infrastructure we built back in the 50s and 60s. So we are going to be rebuilding that sometime in the future. And so that project is looking at what does 94 want to look like in the future. And so the Lowry Hill Tunnel and kind of the restrictions we have there might be part of that.
We have time for one more.
Aaron, with the changes on 35, you talked about 16 bridges. 16 bridges that were going to be replaced or repaired. Does that include the pedestrian and bicycle bridges as well?
Yes, it does include the pedestrian and bicycle bridges, and those will not only be replaced, but improved to current bicycle and pedestrian standards. So I should have noted that the project also includes a number of pedestrian, ADA, bicycle improvements for the length of the project.
Great, thank you so much for the update, Aaron. We appreciate knowing what MnDOT's plans are. I know there's a lot of plans and a lot of coordination, and it looks like quite the puzzle to piece together all those projects and to sequence them in the right timing. So we appreciate the work that MnDOT does and the complexity of the task. We're all going to be cursing, though. Sorry to say that.
Feel free to email me.
We'll send you expletive emails. Thank you. All right, with that, I'd like to bring up Kate Meredith, and Kate is going to talk about our commuter services and some of the features and services that we provide to help you navigate through all this construction. Thank you, Kate.
Thanks so much, Brad. Hi, everyone. It's great to see so many faces today. So I'm Kate Meredith, Director of Outreach with Commuter Services, and I'm going to go through some of our free resources for employers and commuters and your employees. So we have a free commute concierge service that's available for your employees. We can help them with a range of resources to help them get to work besides driving solo. We have a free regional ride-ranging service that matches them with others from their home area and matches them to where they work and a similar schedule. And we just give them the link and some instructions, and they can take it from there as far as finding someone with a similar commute to carpool and vanpool to work with. We also have some carpool tips to help them start a successful carpool. We can provide personalized transit information. So if they tell us where they live and work, we can give them a printout of where the bus stops are, how long the trip takes, give them all of the detailed information along with schedules and 2 free ride passes to try transit. We have a range of bike commuting resources. We can help them with a customized route plan from home to work, a map, and safety tips and Minnesota bike laws as well. There's also a free program that provides peace of mind for your employees if they're using a non-drive alone commute to work called Guaranteed Ride Home. It's free to enroll. It's like insurance. You enroll in it before you need it. You just have to be using any non-drive alone commute mode or combination of modes, carpooling, transit, biking, on average 3 days a week. And you sign up online, we give you the information, and then you can receive up to $100 of reimbursement for taxi fare or Uber or Lyft to get home in the event that there is a sick child or you have to work late, there's some kind of unexpected schedule change. You get home, you pay up front, then you get reimbursed up to $100 per year from Metro Transit. So that's a great peace of mind program, safety net offered to commuters. So I'm going to go through some of these programs, and first one also I'll go through preferential parking. So it's a value benefit for your employees to offer a spot close to the employee entrance at your location. And Commuter Services offers the signs. We also manage the program for you, and we provide a hang tag for all of the carpoolers. So in exchange for carpooling 3 days a week on average, your employees can receive a preferred spot close to the door.
And that service is all free of charge, by the way.
Yes, all of our services are free of charge. Yes, thank you. So we have transit passes available that we can help you as a company enroll in. The best bus pass available in the Twin Cities is an employer-based bus pass. It's called Metro Pass. It offers deeply discounted unlimited ride passes on all the regional buses and trains in the system. So it's not just for getting to work, it's for any trip that your employees would want to take. And as a company, you need just 5 regular transit riders to enroll in the program. So if you have any kind of transit ridership at your company, please see us about enrolling in Metro Pass. And there is a Metro Pass brochure in your packets as well. All right, so there are different ways to pay for the transit passes. For employees could use pre-tax dollars, and we can help you set that up. Many employers provide a subsidy. The average company in the Twin Cities subsidizes half the cost of the transit passes for employees, so making it an even better deal. Or it's a combination where employers subsidize a portion of the cost of the pass, and the rest is paid by the employee using pre-tax dollars. There is a new app in town. It's the Metro Transit app, and you can do all kinds of things with it. So it's available on Android and iPhone. You can purchase tickets for local bus fare, Metro, and North Star. The app is currently not available to purchase fares for express service, but they're working on that. It's great for special events like Twins games. You can plan trips, get real-time next trip info, and more. And there are more features coming soon. Metro Vanpool, we have representatives from Metro Vanpool here today. They have a table in the back. It's a great program, especially if you have a commute that is longer than 11 miles one way and there's no fixed route transit service available for your commute. The riders split the cost of the gas after the Met Council pays about half of the monthly lease. And you need a minimum of 5 people to start the van pool, and you have to ride in the van pool a minimum of 3 days a week. You have new minivans or crossover vehicles, so you have some nice options. And then you have a lease agreement between the primary driver and the enterprise. And we have enterprise representatives here today. The volunteer driver, so amongst the group, someone steps up to be the driver of the van. They get to keep the vehicle at their home evenings and weekends, and then they get to use the van for personal use up to 250 miles per month. The lease covers really everything needed to operate the van. So it's maintenance, repairs, there's $1 million liability insurance, and 24-hour roadside assistance. The van pool, even though we ask that van poolers do ride in the van average 3 days a week, it isn't a long-term commitment. We just need 30-day written notice for a van pooler to leave the van if it's not working out. So it is flexible. We have an array of bicycle commuting resources. For employers, we can provide a free outdoor bike rack, and that's the rack right there. We've given it to dozens of employers in the Twin Cities over the last several years. We can facilitate how to bike lunch and learns for your employees. We also can facilitate bicycle tune-up events and provide assistance with Bike to Work Day celebrations. I was here last Friday, May 19th, for the Best Buy Bike to Work Day celebration and had a table of our bike maps and other resources. So we're happy to do that. We have several try-it campaigns. So this is just a great, easy way for employees to try not driving alone as often, try a new mode, try carpooling, transit biking. And they just have to do it once in the period. Right now, we are in the Commuter Challenge through the end of June. So your employees can go to our website, or you can have me on site with a resource table with a commuter fare, and they can just make an on their honor pledge to use any other mode besides driving solo at least one time. And then we put them in prize drawings and give them lots of free resources to get them started. So we also have Bike to Work Week happening in mid-June, and then Carpool to Work Month is in October that we do every year. And then Melissa is going to come up and talk about telework as a business strategy. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. telework is going to be needed ever more as we enter the major construction seasons with I-94 and with 35W lasting for 4 years. So telework can be a benefit that takes a little longer to set up. If your company does not yet have a telework program, we'd be very interested and happy to talk with you about what that might look like and give you a number of free resources. So our partners at Ecolab had created this slide that we like to use, that work is not a place that you go, it's a thing that you do. And so telework requires employers and employees to think about work a little bit differently, that the work is about the deliverable instead of where you are. And so we say telework is all about work, period. Managers need to learn to manage by deliverables and not by walking around. A number of resources are available through Commuter services to help your company establish a telework program. We have sample telework policies that you can customize to fit your corporate culture. We'll provide implementation guidance, consulting on best practices, training for managers to learn how to manage remote workers, and there's also training for teleworkers to learn best practices of how to work in a remote environment successfully. And we also have ergonomic and home office recommendations. Teleworking is not always a full-time arrangement and is definitely not a replacement for childcare or elder care. Telework is not sending your employees home to never hear from them again. It is not an employee benefit. It's not an employee right. And it's also not an extension of the workday. Teleworking succeeds when the job is right and the employee is a right fit for working remotely, when the technology is in place for remote access, and when the manager approves of the arrangement. So you could have the job lend itself nicely to telework, the employee be a great fit for working remotely and still delivering on time. But if the manager is not supportive or doesn't know how to manage by deliverables and has poor communication, then it will not work. Teleworking is successful when the program is transparent. So employers will want to have a telework policy that is available to all employees to read so that employees can know who is eligible, and then a supervisor can point to the telework policy when an employee is not a fit. So the telework policy becomes the bad guy. And there are certain characteristics of successful telework programs. We recommend that employers start off with a telework pilot program to give it a test. Start small, identify some of your top performing employees that are a good fit with their job, who might have an interest in giving it a try. There needs to be top level executive commitment to the telework arrangement and thought given to planning and selection. And one of the most important characteristics is planning for accessibility remotely, and then communication between the employee and their supervisor on an all-the-time basis. And we have just a couple of slides on the intersection of health and transportation. I attended a fantastic conference in Washington, D.C. earlier this year, and our very own Minnesota Department of Transportation was presenting a couple of sessions on this very topic. How many of you have heard sitting is the new smoking? And so a study by the National Institute of Health in 2010 found a link between energy expenditure, or exercise, if you will, linked with health outcomes. A 2012 study published in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine found that the farther people commute every day, the more likely they are to be overweight. The same research also found the longer people's car commutes are, the more likely they were to have elevated blood pressure. And a new study from the journal formerly called British Medical Journal finds that people who walk, bike, and even take public transportation to work have a lower body mass index and body fat percentage than those who drive to work. A modest increase in physical activity decreases depression and decreases diabetes. Individuals who are new to biking to work and new transit riders who walk from home to transit show an increase in physical activity. There is also a link between vehicle emissions and air quality, as well as a link between air quality and health. And as I was doing research for these quick slides, I found in the New York Times an article that was just published 2 days ago, a link between air quality and people's getting a good night's sleep at night. And so that the poorer the air quality, the poorer the sleep quality. And so this is a slide that highlights a slide earlier that our chair had talked about. Just last year, Commuter Services, through the partnerships with you in this room, the employers that we do commuter fares with and who have commuter programs, we were able to convert 2,500 drive-alone commuters into using an alternative to driving alone 3 or more days per week. And using that statistic, the emissions saved 1.75 million tons of carbon dioxide from the air. And 81% of commuters agree that companies offering commuter benefits demonstrates environmental leadership. And so this is a good time to invite my colleague Marquita Demira up. And Marquita is our marketing manager, and she manages our new Commuter of the Month program. And so we have awards for our Commuters of the Month, and followed by that will be Kate coming back up, and she will present awards to our employers and then to individuals. So, Marquita.
Thank you, Melissa. Commuter of the Month highlights an individual for their efforts in using a sustainable mode of transportation to work that includes, but not limited to, taking the bus, biking, carpooling, or working from home versus driving alone. So I'll now introduce to, I'm sorry, by the way, we do have in your folders Commuter of the Month highlighting our commuters from 2016 when we started a program in April till now. So our first Commuter of the Month is Melissa Hohertz-Fogt, July 2016. Melissa bikes to work.
Yeah, I can't believe you said that right. I'll be very quick in reference to your time. Best Buy actually kicked off my going from being a very sedentary person to starting to use the services as described here. So it was a 12-mile one-way bike commute here and back. So I came to work, got a free shower here, towel service, and also support if I needed to take the bus. I actually then biked further for my following job in Edina, which was only an additional 2 miles each way. Now it's only 18 miles each way, all the way through Minnetonka to go to my current job. As you may have guessed, I can eat wherever I like. So in addition, for those of you who are considering programs, my employer is thrilled with the fact that I haven't had health expenses I talk about now in more than 6 years. This is my marathon training. I'm ready each year. So I actually credit, for those of you who wonder about the success of these programs, I am a completely accidental athlete, and it is completely due to the programs that are offered here. So I thank you very much for this.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Patricia Lacayo and Viviana Gurian. They both carpool together to work. Viviana couldn't be here today, but Patricia is. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Viviana and I are both from Costa Rica. Being a small country, we met back there. For things of life, we gathered here in Minnesota and we worked at the same company. We started doing our telecommuting and we call retail therapy for free because it's where we share a cup of coffee, both are coffee drinkers, and we launch our online business as one of the initiatives of all this time on the road. Viviana is leaving the company to fulfill full-time our company. Taking up, I have a new partner starting in September 1, so I highly recommend, that commuting is really free therapy.
Thank you.
Our next commuter is Sue Humphrey, November 2016. She van pools to work. Unfortunately, she could not be here with us today. So our next commuter is Beth Reisenweber. December 2016, she takes the bus to her job at Augsburg College.
Hi, I have a little bit more of a story to share, so bear with me for 2 minutes if you don't mind. But definitely want to thank everybody for the honor for this Commuter of the Month champion. That's amazing. So here we go, okay. Wonderful resources we have here in Minnesota, right, to promote sustainable transportation modalities. And what wonderful support from our employers to encourage employees to think differently about driving to work. Last June, Switch My Trip gave me the challenge to dip my toe in the water and take the bus. And with the help of Commuter Services, I was able to figure out various options for commuting to and from work. Taking the bus was new for me. I was driving alone, parking in an underground heated garage, reserved parking, for 2 years since coming to the Twin Cities from Chicago. So where I work, we are planning the construction of a beautiful new and big academic building. And this building was being constructed on 2 of the most popular parking lots on campus, permanently taking offline almost 200 parking spaces, or 20% of our inventory. It's a lot. Since I oversee both facilities and human resources at Augsburg, I felt a need to lead by example and encourage other employees to take advantage of the wonderful resources we have in the Twin Cities for commuting. So at work, we hosted many experiential learning opportunities, transit fairs, campus presentations to encourage other employees to dip their toe in the sustainable transit water and change their behaviors. And we were able to move a substantial number of employees from drive-alone to multimodal to relieve pressure on campus parking lots. But the main pressure relieved is on the employee. I cannot say enough about the benefits of taking Metro Transit. Friendly bus drivers greet you in the morning, contend with the traffic while I can work or read on the bus. Opportunities to build community, meet new people, actually get more fresh air, and walk. With the generous employer subsidy of monthly bus passes, how can you not get on board? It's really cheap. So thank you for this award. Thank you for the wonderful resources commuters have here and the support of employers. Special shout out to Marquita Demira, Melissa, Madison, Kate Meredith, the Commuter Services for the fine work, Susan Forsberg, Metro Transit Commuter Programs for the Switch My Trip program, and my colleague Thomas Carroll, who I can carpool home with after working late nights during budget season. So thank you.
Congratulations. Thanks for being here.
I could say go Augies.
Thank you. Chris Kasich, February 2017. He bikes to work, and he also has created a cycling club at his employer in Emerson.
I've been part of the cycling club at my organization for 5 or 6 years now, and it was only when 169 closed in the fall last year that I realized that my secondary road commute to work was all of a sudden a jam-packed nightmare, and I would actually try to get on my bike through the winter, which I had always laughed at the people that did that beforehand and said how crazy they were. It's not too hard. Found a couple of good routes in and inspired a few people at work to do the same. And with some good biking infrastructure that we have, it's a doable operation, and it can be done safely too. So thank you very much for hosting and providing the incentives for people to do the same.
Young Tak Lee. Young Tak Lee is our March 2017 Commuter of the Month. He carpools to work at Starkey. I believe he had to leave early today, so I will present our next individual, Scott Watson, who actually works here at Best Buy. He's our April 2017 Commuter of the Month, and he takes the bus to work.
Hey.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I hate public speaking. So I'll be really quick.
That's okay, you'll do fine.
Best Buy pays 100% to my bus pass.
Thank you, Scott. Short and sweet. Our next Commuter of the Month is our current month, May 2017, Paranier Tin. Paranier lives in St. Paul, but he bikes all the way to the Mall of America.
Hello, hello. There's really not much there's no real big story or anything like that. When I first learned how to ride a bike when I was about 3 or so, and and the way it works is that I was in a parking lot and my uncle was working on, we were brand new to this country, and my uncle was working on his Camaro under the hood. And he heard me yell something, and then he almost dropped his, wrench. And he was trying to figure out what happened, and he thought, oh, okay, maybe I got hit by a car or something. I didn't. I just learned how to ride a bike, and I yelled so hard that he was really surprised about it. And here I am.
Congratulations. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Congratulations to our winners. Kate Meredith will now present the Employer Awards.
Thanks so much, Marquita. So it's my great pleasure to present awards to some of our outstanding employers. We have many, so I'm very grateful that we have partnerships with so many employers, and we're just going to highlight and award a few today. So the first honoree is the City of Edina, the Communications and Technology Services Department. They have a few programs that support sustainable commuting and transportation. The Living Streets Champions appear on the city's website to demonstrate the benefits of sustainable transportation. The Street Smarts program reminds all street users ways to be safe and respectful on the road. We have partnered with the City of Edina for several years. They promote our campaigns and services through video bulletin boards on their community TV. So they just do an amazing job of promoting safety, livability, and sustainable transportation. So I'm going to have Jennifer Benarat come up and accept the award for the City of Edina.
Thank you, Kate. Roadways and transportation options have long been a priority for the City of Edina. Leaders advocate for street and highway improvements that make it easier for all of us to get around the Twin Cities. They have created policies and systems that support pedestrian and bicycling options, and most recently approved a Living Streets policy for all of those reasons, and also to create a greater sense of community in Edina. And the City of Edina supports its own employees by supporting carpooling options and some telecommuting options. The city has found some great success in communicating the activities of its local government through the stories of its residents, visitors, and business people. In our experience, people would rather read a story or see a story about people than just read a simple list of the benefits of telecommuting bicycling, or carpooling. For example, how many of you enjoy being told by your government what to do? Not many of us. But if you read a story about your friends, neighbors, a coworker, and what they're doing, you might be inclined to give it a try. So that's why we've created programs like the Living Streets Champions and our Street Smarts campaign. We are a very, very proud partner of Commuter Services. It's easy for us to communicate the activities and programs of Commuter Services through our existing communications tools. I saw in your packet today, there's a list of things you can do as employers to educate your employees about what's going on right now with the Commuter Challenge. Read that list. You can do that. Share posts on Facebook. Write stories of your own. We always enjoy working with Melissa and Kate and the rest of the Commuter Services staff. Their passion for their work is evident in everything they do. Melissa, Kate, thank you so much for this recognition, but most importantly, keep passing on your great stories for us to tell. We'll do our best to share them with Edina's residents and the people who visit and work there. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations, and thanks again for your partnership. Our next honoree is Health Partners, and we're actually going to talk about two of their categories, two programs that they provide. So for employees, they have a robust array of commute benefits. They offer Metro Pass and other transit passes pre-tax. Also with Regions Hospital, they offer a free Metro Pass in exchange for their parking contract. So there's been construction with the parking at Regions Hospital, and they came up with that solution, and several employees have taken them up on that. They promote sustainable transportation through 9 green teams across the various employer groups. They have lots of amenities, carpool parking, free showers and lockers for bike commuters, outdoor bicycle lockers that are enclosed, as well as several bike racks. They also created employer group and location-specific educational materials about the available resources. They have several employer groups like Park Nicollet and Methodist Hospital, and they've created a really nice array of materials that are specific to the location where the employee works. And the next piece that we are honoring Health Partners for are their bike repair stations. In the last year and a half, they have installed 19 locations across the metro area and western Wisconsin. They carefully selected the locations to benefit employees, patients, and the community. And it provides a wonderful peace of mind and eliminates a barrier for bicyclists. So I'm going to ask Sam McHugh with the Sustainability Department and Dawn Barker, who works at the headquarters at Health Partners, to come and accept the award. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thanks, Kate. At Health Partners, it's our mission to improve health and well-being. And this means we're committed to caring for the places where we live and work so we can provide a healthier and cleaner community for our members, patients, and future generations. So in addition to providing health care and health plans across the metro area, one way we work towards this mission is by promoting environmental stewardship, sustainability, and sustainable transportation options among our employees. Last year, our Be Well teams, the Committee for Increased Activity, our Sustainability Department, and external partners, we embarked on a multifaceted approach to promote sustainable transportation options available to all employees at our various locations, the incentives available, and the positive impact these choices have on our personal health and well-being as well as our environment. One achievement from last year is that we've developed a one-page document of all of our computer programs and incentives, and this document not only has practical information, but it also includes information on why avoiding driving alone is an easy win for the environment. And this document is included in our new employee orientation handbook and is given to all new hires day one on working with us. We also took advantage of Commuter Services' free carpool signage and management program. We implemented that at 2 of our facilities, and we also rely heavily on our green teams to be local champions of transportation efforts across the organization. They frequently partner with Commuter Services and Metro Transits to have educational tables and events for employees. We're really excited about all the work we've been able to do so far. and we look forward to continuing the progress and success in promoting sustainable transportation. So thank you for the partnership and for this recognition.
One of the things that's been really interesting, I've been at Health Partners for 11 years, and I think Melissa was working with Health Partners before I joined, but we've really leveraged both sustainability and our organization's strong commitment to that, and our organization's commitment to well-being, to really take this work to the next level. Because I recall one of my first conversations with Melissa, she's like, how can we get your department to promote this more? And I think using these two levers has been a really effective way to tap into our mission and make it a bigger issue. The bike repair station project was something that I worked on as an offshoot of something we did as a marketing initiative. We worked with Pedal Minnesota a few years ago and sponsored bike repair stations that I believe there were 7 throughout the metro in St. Cloud. And that was something our organization was really proud of, and we had a lot of, one of our employees is here, a lot of people were like, why don't we have one at our own location? And so when we were running into barriers in terms of what can we do next for our bike commuters, this idea popped into my head. And so part of what we were trying to do is implement this in a way that it would help support bike commuting, but also be available to recreational bikers as well, because I always try to think about them, there's sort of 2 different populations, and we wanted to get the most benefit from the dollars that we put into this. And it was actually a surprisingly easy sell to get. We got 19 of them installed. We targeted our largest work locations. Only one of them, interestingly, ended up being an administrative office building. All of the others are patient-serving areas. And so as we asked our locations to think about placement, we really encouraged them to try to make sure that it was not just accessible to employees, but also accessible to the communities, whether that's a patient coming in for a visit or it's somebody that might be biking by on a regional trail. And while the bottom example is at our administrative building, so that one is probably the only one that's not accessible to the community. It was interesting to see how some of our locations were really good about this. For example, in Amory, the facilities person there said, I don't want to put it on our campus because anybody coming to our campus has to go past a major state trail. So I want to put it on the intersection of that state trail. So he worked with the city of Amory to get permission to place it there, and that's where it was placed. In New Richmond, Wisconsin, they put one on campus, but they also have a partnership with the local fitness center, so they purchased one for the local fitness center. And so we've had a lot of offshoot efforts to do that. So it's been exciting to see how Methodist Hospital put one in the parking ramp for employees, but they also put one near the bike racks that are used by patients. So it just was really interesting to see how it got implemented, and it's just a creative way to try to move this work in another direction. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Congratulations again. Our next recipient could not be here, but it's Minneapolis Marriott Southwest in Minnetonka. They purchased in the last year bicycles and helmets for guests to rent. So we will happily accept their award on their behalf. The next award is for Minnesota Life College. They provide dedicated transit instruction for their students, teaching students with learning differences and autism spectrum disorders to navigate buses and trains independently. And I've had the great pleasure of meeting many students and providing a presentation on how to ride the bus, and Minnesota Life goes farther to give them experiential experiences, taking them on trains, on buses, so they really know how to do that independently when they finish school. And I'm very happy to have Sartone Tao accept the award from Minnesota Life College.
Thank you, Kate. Minnesota Life College is humbled and grateful for this award. Thank you to Commuter Services and Transportation Advocates for this honor. Minnesota Life College offers young adults on the autism spectrum and with learning differences, a unique and lifelong opportunity to live rich, fulfilling lives. Mobility and access to transportation are core aspects taught at Minnesota Life College. This education primes young adults to travel successfully in the community and gives the opportunity to develop skills in personal safety, time management, route planning, understanding maps and symbols, navigation, situational awareness, problem solving, because not everything goes according to plan, advocating for help when needed, and many other things. Most of these skills, if not all of them, are valuable for everyday life. To hear from some of our students on their successes in the community, coming back, and these are from our private Facebook group for our transportation students, coming back from spring break, or she misspelled spring back, all by myself waiting for the light rail to Mall of America, at Mall of America waiting for the 540. Another student, at the 540 bus stop, made my transfer from the 5 on my way back to from where I'm going to be working soon, 5 exclamation points. Went to TCF Bank Stadium today to visit the place where I'll attend the Minnesota United soccer game soon. I also looked at Wild Rumpus and CVS for my niece's upcoming birthday, exclamation point. Last but not least, lunch with Dad, eating lunch at Dave's downtown. I don't know if any of you have been there, but there was an awesome picture of a partially bitten hamburger that the student put up, and I was very jealous of that trip. So therefore, I just want to give a final thank you to all organizations that support sustainable and alternative transportation on a far-reaching scale. Because of you and your efforts, Minnesota Life College students and members have greater access to independent modes of transportation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Our next employer recipient is the Mall of America. They have many commuter incentives, including offering Metro Pass and subsidizing at $25 per person a month. They also offer carpool parking in both of their ramps. And Michael Zondervan is going to accept the award.
Thank you, Kate. On behalf of everyone at Mall of America, I'm pleased to accept this award. Again, my name is Michael Zondervan. I'm with Mall of America's Human Resources Department. It is my pleasure to work with the mall's transit program. Something you may not know about the Mall of America is that we have about 1,200 employees, and the mall as a whole employs about 13,000 people. The mall also sees over 40 million visitors annually. That's more than the entire population of Canada. So think about that. This is why we take transit to the mall very seriously, and we have our programs such as our carpooling program, where we do have those nice parking spaces up by the first area of the parking ramps. Then we have our quarterly commuter fairs where we do drawings to incentivize people to come out and carpool or bike to work. Then we have our transit committee that advocates and comes up with ideas on how to better come to work. And that is with both mall employees and our tenants. Again, our Metro Pass, we do the $25 subsidizing for that, and we do about 10% of our employees that take advantage of that program, which is a nice high number for us. And it's a great tool for our recruiters when they're out talking to applicants. It's one of those great things that, hey, we subsidize our Metro Pass, come on in. And we do get about, on average, about 10 new Metro Passes for every new orientation we do, which is a great total. And again, thanks to everyone. We work hard on our programs, and they're very successful in our opinion. And then we remain committed to all these transit programs. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. The mall is a great partner for us and works very hard. And then we just have one final employer award for Northland Executive Office Center. Is Jamie Corzan here? Did she make it? Okay, so she was held up, but they held a series of bicycle community education events that we helped them with a bike community 101 lunch and learn, and a bike to work day celebration. So we will accept the award on their behalf. And now we just have a few of awards for individual champions. So I'm going to go through those. Our first recipient is Brian Nelson from Best Buy. Brian has been working on the commuter benefits program since 2015 and has seen just a lot of great things happen, improve operational efficiency, increase promotion. He's expanded the pre-tax benefits nationwide. He helped install the electric vehicle charging stations and helped with formal training for teleworkers. Just a little overview of what Best Buy offers. They offer Metro Pass and employees pay nothing for it. They have 11 van pools and employees pay just $25 a month per van. And they have bike racks and for use at the fitness center and an array of other amenities. So congratulations, Brian. You're wonderful to work with and very deserving of this award.
You kind of covered a lot of what I wrote down. No, this is great. We have the big things that we do around promoting it. So we had these programs since this building opened in 2004. But before I joined the benefits team, it was very much a program that we just kind of let slide by. If people wanted a bus pass, we gave it to them. There was real no promotion, nobody monitored it. So when I took over, some of the stuff that we do quarterly commuter fairs on site here. We have commuter services, Metro Transit and our van pools with Enterprise come in. We have to do very little promotion around it. We usually get about 50 to 60 people that stop by each quarter down by our lunchroom. I send out a monthly email to new hires letting them know about all the different services that we do have. We do company news stories, break room posters. We have our annual benefits guide. We have a commuter kiosk, which I hear is kind of unique to a lot of employers. So if you stay for the tour, we can point that out and show you where that is. It has resources for all the different things that we offer. And then again, to point out, I mean, we pay for the van pools. Employees only pay $25 a month for the van pools, and then the Metro passes are 100% covered. And we have about 20% of our campus using some form of transportation, whether it's commuting, Metro Pass, van pools, biking. We have a couple runners. We do some telecommuting, and then we also are recently installed electric charging stations for electric vehicles. So it's about 700 employees that we have commuting with one of those options.
Congratulations. Thank you for all your work.
Congratulations, Brian.
Did I hit it off?
No? Okay. Can we switch?
There we go.
Congratulations, Brian. So our next award recipient will look familiar to you. Jennifer Benarat with the City of Edina. She is the Communications and Technology Services Director. She has overseen tremendous growth in the department over the last 10 years. She is just an expert at communicating the city's programs and infrastructure that increases livability, allowing people to bike, walk, take transit more easily. And we're very grateful for her. So we'll have Jennifer Benarat come and accept her award. Congratulations.
I don't want to be rude, but you've already seen me. Thanks again. This is really unnecessary recognition for what is very much just my job. But please know that this is a renewed commitment from the City of Edina to commuter services. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. We have one last award recipient. It is Samantha McHugh from Health Partners. She is the Sustainability Department Coordinator. She coordinates the 9 Be Well teams across the company. Big job. She has facilitated a broader and deeper reach for commuter services programs and campaigns. We just have really developed a deeper relationship, which is great, and we're reaching more employees. And they set goals for engaging employees in sustainable transportation, and they were met. She administered a survey at Methodist Hospital that got a ton of responses. And you created a catalog of commute programs and amenities across the company locations, which is very useful. So congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. I'm going to take a page from Jennifer's book. You've already seen and heard from me, but thank you very much for this recognition. Commuter Services has been a key partner into expanding our programs and raising employee awareness around our programs. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Brad. So we'll just do the wrap up. Do you want to? Okay. So we do have time to take questions of myself or Melissa or any of the transit speakers. Your nephew as well.
Way to get to me. So I'm Margaret President with Public Health. We serve Bloomington, Edina, and Richfield. I was just wondering, this is all very heartening and exciting to see all this great work that's happening locally. And I was especially excited to hear that the Mall of America is being recognized because I guess the one thing that I'm wondering about, I guess as a comment and then just a general question to any of the employers here or folks that have been awarded things today, as well as Commuter Services, is how do we reach kind of the lowest income of people in our community with these specific commuter benefits? I feel really privileged to be able to benefit from some of these programs, and I'm excited again to see a lot of us professionals being able to benefit from these programs, but it seems as though, I don't know if it's harder to connect with employers that are maybe serving more kind of wage-based employees, or whether we are reaching people and not necessarily hearing those stories. But I would love to hear any insights or ideas that people have for connecting with lower income folks that could really benefit from some of these programs.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. We do work with several companies that have call center staff or production staff that work shift schedules, and they do they do work at a lower wage. So, but there's more that can be done, and if there are other ideas.
So we actually partner at the mall on site with Oasis, who works with homeless youth. So we have a representative that's out there, and she's constantly working with them and working with us to figure out, okay, if the Metro Pass is too expensive, what else do we have? So we work with them pretty closely to figure that out. So maybe reaching out to some of those companies would benefit you.
Sorry about that. Hi, Katie Rodriguez with the Met Council. We just had before us at the Transportation Committee, we renewed a pilot program where we're working with, I think it was about half a dozen companies at the airport to work with TransitLink to get them there very early in the morning, and then they can take regular routes on the way home. And again, we need that pilot program, but it's showing success right now. And those are maybe not minimum wage, but low wage workers.
Okay, Kate, would you take us through our closing points?
Thank you everyone for attending today. Just a few things before you leave. So if you could please fill out the follow-up feedback sheet in your folder. It's on the left side in the middle, asking you what kind of follow-up help that you need, materials. If you can fill that out, that would be great, and then leave it with Robin in the back. Give it to her as you walk out. Also, please visit the resource tables. They're still staffed and ready to help. A tour of Best Buy's campus and commuter amenities will begin very shortly in a few minutes. So if you are interested, just stand at the back of the room and you can do that. And then if the award recipients could please meet up at the podium, we'll take some pictures up here. So thanks again. We appreciate your participation, and have a great day.